I don't usually do this, but I'm really close to getting 100 subscribers. So if you guys could hit that like button and also hit that subscribe, I want to get to 100 before the end of the year. That'd be like my main goal for this year, is to hit 100 subscribers before the end of 2025. So let's get into the video. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Yes, the year now is 1992, the year in which the Mall of America made its grand opening, the Chicago Bulls won their second championship, Cartoon Network made its debut by rerunning classic cartoons, and Crystal Pepsi made its way to store shelves, which I'm not going to talk about that drink. Ugh. But anyways, yes, it's 1992. Like the title says, we only got 2 games in 1992, and that was because my father was let go from his previous job, and he decided to save up all his money to open up his own business. So in terms of like what we got in games in the games department, we stopped getting games for a while. I think for like 2 years. And then I think we got something in 94, which we did get something in 94, which I'll talk about when we get to that moment. The 2 games, what we got that year was nothing big, nothing really great. I'll talk about them right here real quick. The first one was here is Yoshi. I think this one is my brother's game. What's funny about this game, I had forgot about this. I knew of the cover. Let's just say that. I knew of the cover. And for the longest time, I had thought Yoshi was a game that was based on a platformer similar to like Super Mario Bros. 2 or 3 or the first one, but it had to deal with Yoshi. So this was like Yoshi's first game before Super Mario World, or even I think like Yoshi's Story or something like that. I thought this was his first game, so this was his first platformer. Well, turns out I was wrong, because that's not what this game is. It's one of those puzzle games similar to like Tetris and Dr. Mario. Yes, the game is a puzzle game. It's a simple puzzle game. All you have to do is move Mario, and you move these like little like plates or whatever, and you have to get combinations to make the lines disappear. If you match like up a Goomba or a I think like a mushroom, that line disappears. Plus, also considering the factor it has to deal with Yoshi, you get these like half eggs, like bottom half and top half, and if you get the bottom half on the very bottom of a platform or anywhere on the platform, and you can get so many lines up, and you have a top of the shell, that thing comes down and clears your whole line there, and that basically you get a Yoshi, and I guess you get bonus points into doing that. Yeah, for the longest time as a kid, I had always thought this was a platformer game. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess because just Super Mario, Yoshi, I don't know. I just thought it was. We had like 2 NESs, one didn't work, and the second one starts to not work around this time. So I never played this one hardly. But just recently, since doing these videos again, I went ahead and bought this. It was cheap, and was pleasantly surprised to find out that it wasn't anywhere what I thought it was back then. So yeah, it's a fun party game. I really enjoyed it. I think this was probably more likely my brother's game, or maybe it was just a game that we both had to have, like we both had to share this one. Either which way, this is what we got. Going back to this before I forget, yeah, it is a very, very fun game. I actually find myself like really enjoying how it worked, the mechanics of it, where you had to switch I wouldn't call them plates, where you had to switch the plates and get the right combination, or the right 2 pairs or whatever of like the mushrooms or the Goombas and whatnot, and clear them. And I really liked how you have to I don't know, I just like that mechanic more so, where you flip them to do that. And I actually enjoyed this one a little bit better than Dr. Mario and even Tetris. I mean, Tetris was good, but this one I kind of like the mechanics of it a lot more. So I enjoyed this one, playing this one. I'm actually surprised this one hasn't come back in some form, because I remember they did that with Dr. Mario on a WiiWare system. They like a downloadable game. They did that for Dr. Mario, but they didn't do this one for Yoshi, which I'm surprised. This is a lot of fun. I'm actually quite surprised by it. So yeah, but anyways, I think this is like this was supposed to be like, since money was tight, we were supposed to share this game more than likely. But the purpose of the wheel is that if I beat a game, I get a spin, but this isn't a game where you actually beat it, so can't really do nothing about that one. All right, moving on to the second game. This was a game I know for a fact that we had because my dad was a huge fan of this franchise. He loved it to death. He loved it. I mean, think like the last movie me and him ever watched was this franchise movie. And that franchise, when it came out with its 25th anniversary, he had to get that VHS tape. He had to get the game. We had to go to conventions for all that stuff. And that game here is Star Trek: The 25th Anniversary. So yeah, this is the NES version. I think there's a computer game or an MS-DOS game. I think he had that one too, or I know somebody had that one because I remember that one because it looked a lot better than the NES version. He was a massive Star Trek fan. I think I didn't get to watch Star Wars until about 1998, and that's only because I played that Star Wars Shadow of the Empire game. But my household was nothing but Star Trek movies, Star Trek toys, Star Trek memorabilia. It was just, don't get me wrong, I like Star Trek, but it was pretty much, we were watching it in the house almost all the time. I think like all of 90s was just nothing but Star Trek in my household. So yeah, we had to get this game. At least he had to get this game. I tried to play it, and I've decided not to, at least for not right now. I looked up online to see how long it is, because it's definitely story enriched, this game, and so I wanted to see how long it would take me to actually sit down and beat it. And I saw like a playthrough, and mind you, the playthroughs are if the person knew exactly where to go, hardly ever get hit, and probably hardly have any death screens or whatever. It took the person, I think, like an hour and 30 minutes or so. And I'm thinking like, oh man, I don't know. I want to go in blind when I play these games, and I know that hour and 30 minutes or whatever is going to take me 4 hours. Plus, this game doesn't have a way to save your progress. Yeah, this one is going to be on the back burner of stuff to play. The reason I got this one was because it reminded me of my dad, and when I saw it, I was like, well, I had to get it. So that's why I have it here. I really wish I could have had played it so I could have a spin to the wheel, but other than that, this is why I got it. Couldn't escape Star Trek in the 90s. I could not escape it. I just remembered we got this one, and my dad played it like when he got this one, he played all the time. And then like, I guess because I don't remember where he got stuck at, but he just stopped playing it. And I want to say he did get that MS-DOS one, or somebody had that one. I'm going to figure out where I can find that one. And I think it was the same thing as this one, and it looked a lot better, sounded a lot better too. But I remember that game, like I remember the MS-DOS one more so than this one. But we had this one, I know for a factor, because I remember him playing it. I just really wish I could remember where he got stopped at. Maybe one day I'll sit down and actually play this one. Maybe I'll sit down and play it and do like a let's play or playthrough of it. Just do that. But other than that, it's on the backlog of games to try. But I'm gonna keep this one. I'm not gonna trade it or anything like I do on the wheel. But yeah. But yes, those were the two games we got in 1992. So where do I go to from here? Since I have nothing to work off of, and I didn't get anything in 1992 and 1993, how are we going to do this? Well, I've decided we're going to stick with me getting one game for my birthday and one game for Christmas. I was also relying on what my brother got, but I'm not going to know what he would want. I think, and also I want authenticity of this. I do need more games to play in order for us to spin the wheel. Like, what would I have done back then? And I was thinking like, oh, a rental. We've all been there when we, back in the day, we would go out and rent a video game, and bring it back after 5 days or so. And I'm thinking like, well, there was those games that I used to rent where I would just rent them over and over and over again to the point where it's just like, I might as well have just outright bought it. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to do. We get one for my birthday, one for Christmas. And since I'm trying to finish up some stuff over here, we're going to do, for this year, 2 rentals. These are the games I picked and played to get me to spin the wheel. Get me to spin the wheel. First game I picked here is Ghostbusters 2. I remember this game a lot, which makes me wonder if I probably either owned it or I rented it. Probably more than likely rented it. And I remember watching Angry Video Game Nerd's review of this game and seeing that driving stage. I remember the start screen where it would show like computer gameplay, and the computer gameplay would just show the car just, you know, not even trying. And I remember that so well back in the day when I was younger. So I was just like, yeah, I think we played that one. Either we had it or rented it. Either which way, I wanted to get it back. So that's what we got here. Oh my goodness, this was a tough game. Like, you have to learn pattern recognition in order for you to try to beat this game. And even then it's pretty hard. It follows the story loosely to the movie. You first start off in like the beginning stage of the subway tunnel, the courtroom, Statue of Liberty, and then the final one is the Vigo museum thing. I tried my best, but man, I really do forget that games were so much more harder back then than they are now. In fact, there's other games here that are just as difficult, if not worse. There's two of them that are pretty bad. But yeah, this one, if you're able to do it, I salute you, because this game was hard. All I did was I went ahead and used the Game Genie to try to beat it. I do have to admit though, graphically, it looks pretty good. And you know, especially at the ending scene, that was pretty neat to see that ending. But yeah, I couldn't beat it without the Game Genie. So there you go. I add one up, half a spin to the wheel. All right. The next one I'm going to talk about is another movie tie-in game. And that here is The Rocketeer. I loved this movie as a kid. I was big into wanting to fly. I liked Superman. I like this movie, The Rocketeer. Anything that had anything where you can be able to fly as a person, I loved it as a kid, and still to this day kind of do. Yeah, I knew this game was going to be terrible. I just knew it was, but this was definitely one of the ones I remember back in the day that I wanted so bad, but we just never got it. It is a platformer game. You barely use your jetpack, but all in all, it does follow the movie loosely. You know, I could see kind of potential with this game. This game was, you know, if it just had just a little bit more polish. I know these games have to be rushed out in order to meet the window of the movie release, so that's why these games are probably, a lot of them with their movie tie-in games, that's why they're bad. I could see where they could have gone with this, and it was kind of, you know, kind of disappointing in a way, because it felt like it could be something more. Like really, I'm being serious about that. It felt like there could be something more here. But I wanted to play it. I wanted to get it off my list of things I wish I played back in the day. So yeah, I've sat down, played it. Movie's really good. I like that movie. Game, not so much. For me to have beaten this, I forgot about that, I had to use a Game Genie. There was just no other way of doing it. That's so. There you go. And that right there, with those two games down, that requires me to spin the wheel. Like I said before, I forget how difficult NES games were. You know, I know why they were. I know why they were difficult back then. It was because they didn't want people to go out and beat it in a day if they rented it. These next two games, I had to use an emulator to beat them, and it's because of how it's designed, which is crazy because one of them is an actual good game, but I'll just get into it and talk about it. Tailspin. Capcom just hit it out of the park when it came to Disney tie-in games. I really liked the Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Ranger one. I played the Tailspin one. That was really good. The Darkwing Duck looks pretty good. And DuckTales, I want to play that one as soon as possible, but I'll have to wait on that one. And I've heard that the Little Mermaid one, they made a Little Mermaid game. I heard that was pretty good too. I don't know about that one. I'm not really a fan of the movie, so we may skip that one. But Capcom, they were definitely doing a really good job of making really good platformer games, especially with the Disney license. And this one was really good to playing it. Basically, the premise of the game is that you are, you know, Baloo, and you have to use your, you know, little nice, cute little ship to go in and, you know, pick up cargo and money. And what made it hard was that, you know, you have to face off enemies, and you know, sometimes you're trying to battle enemies while trying to picking up cargo, and there's a mechanic where you press the B button, so you can go one direction, but if you press the B button, you go backwards in the other direction, which sometimes you're gonna have to use that. but your ship starts off as being not as good. You have to use upgrades. In between levels, you can buy upgrades for your ship. If you don't pick up enough cargo, your ship is just gonna be lacking, which was happening with my ship. I didn't know what really meant what. I bought a lot of either continues or extra lives, which really was more like I just needed a way to upgrade my gun ship to shoot faster. I didn't know that until I got to one particular level where I kept getting stopped and killed every time, and that's where I just kind of like, fine, screw it, I'll just use an emulator, and that's what I did. Because also there are secrets in the game, and because, like I said, I've never been really good with 8-bit games, it's just hard to tell where those secrets at, because the playing field looks just flat to me, so I can't really look and see where it could be. The secret level is where you can use the kid and you use his flying board, and you go through the levels to pick up even more money to help you upgrade the ship. But I tried to do those things. It was just kind of really hard to find them, especially if you're fighting off enemies. I said screw it. I went ahead and tried to use an emulator, go back and try to beat bosses, try to pick up more cargo, try to do what I can to get more money to upgrade my ship. And once that happens, it does make the levels a lot more easier, but still pretty difficult game. Especially when you die, you just go back to the beginning of the levels, but that's another thing that sucks, especially in the next game I'm going to talk about. I tried my best. Maybe there's, like I said, I've never been really good at 8-bit games, but still a lot of fun. So I can't recommend this one enough to try it out. I enjoyed it for what it was, and like I said, I really do need to find that Disney Afternoon Collection pack that's out on PS4 so I can play all those games again. So I really want to try that. But yeah, played the NES version and a lot of fun. Now the next game I picked was something I wanted to play, and I was like, well, when I reached 1992, this would be the top of the list of one of the ones I must play. Like, I wanted to play all these other ones, but this one was definitely added to it too, because I remember in 1992 or around that time, I was really into the Disney Afternoon block where they showed all those cartoons, and I also liked a lot of the Warner Brothers stuff too. I liked Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, I can't remember what the other one was, but this one, I was like, I've got to play this one because I remember that show, and I've got to add it to the collection, so I tried it, and that game is Tiny Toons Adventures, one of my favorite shows as a kid. I think I'll never forget that first verse of the Tiny Toons theme song. We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony, and in this cartoony, we are invading your TV. When I started playing this, when I booted this game up, and that 8-bit rendition of that song came up, that came right back into my head immediately. I think I'll never ever forget that song as long as I live. This game was difficult, like really, really difficult. So it's kind of reminiscent to like Super Mario Brothers and how it's structured, especially around Super Mario Brothers 3. It kind of takes a lot of cues from that, especially with the power system and whatnot. Basically, what makes this difficult is that if you don't get a power up, which is a heart, you die like instantly. Like one hit, you're dead. You're gone. That's it. And you have to get that heart power up, which I wouldn't even call it a power up. It's just like you get two free hits. But that's it. You can't even switch. And also you could pick between, Buster Bunny and a partner, whether it be I can't remember their names, but the Daffy Duck, Tasmanian, and Sylvester character, but the kids version. You can switch between those, but you have to get like a ball to switch between them. You can't just like press a button and switch. You have to find like this bouncy ball to make your partners, to switch to your partner. And those are few and far between. The hearts that you need to really kind of beat the level are also even more few and far between. So you're really running through this, I think 4-level stage with like one hit, don't get killed, good luck. Yeah. I had to, I couldn't, I tried using a Game Genie. That thing just beat my butt. And that was another thing. Like, Usually sometimes some games, if you die, you can go right back into the level and just, you know, if you have so many lives, which you do, you get like 9 lives in the game, in this game. If you die, you just go right back into the boss battle and try again. Not this game. If you die, you go way back to the beginning of the level. Oh boy. Yeah, I couldn't do it with the Game Genie. I had to beat it with an emulator. There was no other way of doing it. This game, it was difficult, and I can't stress. If you want to try it out, but oh my goodness. But with that though, finally, I add another game to the list of emulated games that I finally was able to beat. So we have another spin to do. All right, now we have 2 spins to choose from the wheel. Let's see what happens. I'm hoping that we get something good. This is the year we need to get something good. I'm hoping to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 or at least River City Ransom. One of those 2. I would love to get those before the end of the NES cycle, because I have the next year left to do. So if I don't get anything on this wheel today, I'm going to get that for the next year. So here we go. 2 spins. Let's see what we can get on the wheel. See how we do this right. It's all kind of switched around. Let me move my microphone real quick. Okay, here we go. Hey! All right, Super Mario Brothers 3. There we go. I don't know if you can see it. My new lighting system I have is kind of blocking. But yeah, Super Mario Brothers 3. All right, I'm kind of glad I'm, getting that one finally. I heard it's pretty good. I also heard it's pretty tough. Who knows? But yeah, really glad to have gotten that one. Starting off on a really good foot here. So let's see what the next spin will give us and see what we can get. And ooh, I don't like that one. Ooh, spin again. Okay, spin again. Let's try that. Make it really good one. Here we go. Not that good. Oh my goodness. We actually got River City Ransom. I really was not expecting that. I thought we were going to get we were really close to the no game one. Well, that's good. We got 2 good games. Oh god, I got a belch. We got 2 good games out of those 2 spins. Oh, thank goodness. All right, let me go grab them real quick, and I'll be right back. So here we are. We got Super Mario Brothers 3 and River City Ransom. Growing up, we never had Super Mario Brothers 3. It was just the first one and the second one. This was definitely one of the ones I remember we used to rent a lot at the store. Finally was able to find me a copy, picked it up. It actually took me a long time to find me a Super Mario Brothers 3 copy. I don't know. It was just really hard there for a while. Okay, the next one here is River City Ransom, and there was a reason why I added this one to the wheel, and that is, I remember growing up, a friend down the street, he always had this copy, and every time I go over to his house, I always wanted to play River City Ransom, because it was like, it's kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You go and fight the bad guys and everything. He didn't really, because he played it so much, he didn't really like playing it a lot. I always loved playing it. But I never owned it. Whenever I was gonna do this, I was like, I gotta find that copy somewhere. I'm gonna find a copy of River City Ransom so I can finally sit down and play it. And boom, finally landed on it on the wheel. Can't wait to give this a try, see what it's like. Haven't played it in over 30 plus years. I wonder if it's still any good from what I remember. With that being said, let's go play these games, and I will transition to me now after I played them. So here we are. Somebody's moving around out there. Finally got these 2 played. So glad to finally get these played and mark them off the list. Took a while to get these things done. When I recorded that first part, it was like early September. So yeah, I finally was able to get these completed. Now it's so late October. Let's talk about the first one here. Let's talk about the first one I played, and that is this Super Mario Brothers 3. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think this is like peak Nintendo. Super Mario Brothers World, we'll see what that one's like, but in terms of its NES, this is like the game that pushed the boundaries, I think, in terms of both graphics and gameplay. This was so much fun to play. It took everything that was so good about the first one and just enhanced it times 10. yeah, I sat down and played it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think this is going to be like my top favorite of Super Mario Brothers games until maybe I play Super Mario Brothers World. But other than that, this one is my favorite. I see why people will, I see why people like this game. I can understand the marketing behind this game. This one is like the best. But yeah, this one was pretty good. I think some of the stages were pretty awesome. I liked the big world where all the characters were like, the enemies were like really big. That was my favorite level. Another one of my favorite levels was the, I think it's towards the end when you go face Bowser. I'll show it here. I can't really remember it because I played this one first before I played this one, so I kind of forgot some stuff. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, very challenging, but a fun kind of challenge. I did everything I could to get like as many lives as I could to get to be able to face the final boss. Try to look at all the secrets that I had. Collect as many mushrooms and do that roulette thing to get as many lives as I could. It took a very long time for me to beat that very last stage with the boat to face off Bowser. Yeah, it took a long time. I think I was like down to like 2 lives less when I finally was able to get to him and finally was able to beat him. The whole thing like took like almost all my lives. Yeah, the only thing I kind of don't like about it is the fact that I wish I played this when I was younger. I kind of have some vague memories that we did, so maybe we may have rented it at one point in time, but I know we never owned it because I don't remember anything other than a vague level that I remember from back then. So more than likely we had rented it. This is going to be like my top 10 so far. This is probably one of the more favorite games I played in a while. Super Mario Brothers 3, great classic, earns its classic title. Check that out if you haven't had a chance to. Another game I'm so glad to finally sat down and play, and that here is this River City Ransom. Like I said before, a friend of mine lived down across the street. He had this game. He had Zelda 2, Super Pitfall, Snake Rattle and Roll, and he also had a Sega Genesis. I remember Sonic 2, a Power Rangers game, and a Street Fighter game. But this is one of the ones I remember, that in the Power Ranger game, that I wanted to play. If I ever had a chance to get it or buy it, I was going to pick one up, and finally did. And I enjoyed this one too. This was a pretty fun game. I'm glad to get this one, another one checked off the list of games that I, a bucket list of games to play. You do a lot of backtracking. You do a lot of like, you go in and, go to shops, eat, get yourself powered up. What was funny is that I was playing this game and I was enjoying myself, and I'm, backtracking and going forward and backtracking and do all this stuff. And I was like kind of thinking like to myself, like how the gameplay was. And I felt like I was played this game before. Obviously I played the game before when I was younger, but I feel like I played the game more recently. But I was trying to think of like, how could that be possible? And I was like, this game is very reminiscent of something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And then, like, I guess looking through all my library, I saw the Yakuza game, the very first Yakuza game, and I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like that, because in the game, in order for you to kind of, you fight enemies as you walk around the streets. You can pick up food, or you get food to eat to help you battle. And so yeah, it was kind of like that. At least it felt like that. It's like an homage to that. And so that's the kind of the feeling I got from the game. And with that, I enjoyed it so much more because of that. I hope I want to know if there's any other ones that's in this library of games. I know there's a few that they have been kind of a resurgence of them. I think there was like this one on the 3DS. I think there's more. I have to figure that out. I think these lineup of games, there's other ones in the series. I think there's a few of them out there. I think they're just called different here in the States than they are in Japan. So I'm going to figure that out and see if there's any other ones I've heard. Yeah, fun game. Glad to finally sat down and play it. So glad to do that. Another game that earns its title for being a classic. So yeah, got to check that out. All right. That's it for 1992. We're moving into the final year, which is 1993. We're doing a 5-year span for the NES, and that is the last year for us. But yeah, I'm going to pick 4 games that year, 4 games that I must play before the end of that. We'll see what happens there. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all take care.